warriors, parental advisory. Did you hear me? Parental advisory. I want to take just a couple of minutes to warn you. I've been talking about this all week. I'll continue to talk about it. I am going to escalate my talking about it. Hollywood, the Hollywood hustle, as I call it, this normalization of the sexualization of our children. Are they creating these entertainment projects for the children, or are they creating them for the adults to normalize how we look at children as sexual beings? Let me put a couple of programs on your agenda that you need. I am urging you, all of you, please. You must know what your children are doing online. I preach this every day. There is no help. It starts in your own home, in your own community. Now, why I always say that is because it definitely starts in your own home. You have to take control. Parents, grandparents, trusted adults, you have to know what the kids are doing online, what they're looking at, what they're seeing. You've got to put those filters on. You've got to talk to your kids. You've got to make them your partners in all of this. It's a team effort, warriors. I am passionate about this subject. To all the moms and grandmas out there and dads and grandpas, we got to get on top of this because it's getting worse every day. I'm seeing it right before my eyes. I started my career in entertainment. That's about 40 years ago. I have seen how it has transitioned into this mishmash of chaos and anything for likes and clicks and ad dollars, profit over human dignity, profit over the safety of our children. So let me just give you a couple of shows I want you to keep your eyes on. All week, many people have been talking about Squid Game, Netflix being a major offender, and this Squid Game, which is touted as worldwide phenomenon, Netflix never had such a big hit, is brutal, is violent, is graphic. Do not let your young children, even your teens, watch this. It's more of the habituation. It's more of the control. It's more of if you step out of line, you get shot. It's terror, it's fear. And I think we can all attest that in the last almost 2 years now, we've been all going through on a daily basis, fear, terror, disruption. We need to change it. Again, it starts in our own homes. And when I say communities, because if we all in our own homes strengthen what's going on, it'll trickle down into our communities. So that being said, we've got Squid Game, absolutely not for adults. I would even venture to say not for anybody. Netflix, what else do you have? That horror called Big Mouth. Animation about 13-year-old kids, I think they're 12 or 13, going through puberty, the most disgusting, vile dialogue coming out of their mouths. Now, who is this show made for? Children? Because remember, all of these platforms, I don't care what you read, unless I wrote it, don't believe it. I don't believe anything. The numbers, they need eyes. They need the traffic, the web traffic from our children. They need to, in essence, groom, I will go as far as to say, new customers. Big Mouth, vile. Entering season 5, how can this be? I'm going to step up my work at the Warriors and really start attacking this. Not only do we have Big Mouth, we have sex education about a teenage sex therapist. And he's giving all this sexual advice to his fellow teens in high school. And his mom in the show is a sex therapist, and they openly discuss completely sexual things, inappropriate. Then we have Gwyneth Paltrow. All I'll say about her is a thank you, Harvey Weinstein, and I'll let that one go. Oops, there's a fly in here. Ignore it. I don't want to turn the computer off. You know, she has some sort of new show, something called like Sex, where they're going to have 5 real couples achieving how to have touchless orgasms, how to become intimate. Now, you know, I don't know how they're even tagging the show if they say mature audience. You know, kids are going to get their hands on it. You know, kids are going to be kids are curious. They're going to watch this. It's more of this normalization of the sexualization of society and our children in particular. Again, it's normalizing that our children are sexual beings for the pleasure of adults, and that our children are growing up thinking this is normal behavior. We've got that. We've also got, I saw a poster today, not a poster. I was passing through Times Square, and it was one of those larger than lifes, the whole side of a building, actually, 8th and 42nd. And that is considered the Times Square area. For some horror, I was driving, so I couldn't take my eyes off of the chaos going on 8th Avenue, but some sort of horror thing coming in 2022, battleground, battle something. Again, another shoot 'em up, bloody, gore filled everything. I want all of you to be aware of this vile programming being pushed at our kids. There's more and more of it. We've got the Gossip Girl on HBO Max. Again, teens in a private New York high school, a very elite high school, according to them, having this sex all over the place. Our poor children, everything being thrown at them, everything's being thrown at us. We're overwhelmed. Can you imagine about the kids, how they're going to grow up and are growing up 5-10 years from now? What's going to happen? You got to step in. We're all busy. We're all anxious. These are our precious children. They are being used. Our children are the product. They're laughing at us with all of this going on. And despite all of this talk, whether it's on Capitol Hill and it's Facebook and it's Instagram this week and it's this and the yelling and online safety, I don't see much happening. I see it getting worse. And the only solution I have is to be a warrior, to take control in your own home, to talk to the kids, to look at their devices, to put those safety filters on, to not allow, put those pins on Hulu and all the other programming. And I want to leave you with, one of the tenets of Lynn's Warriors is to fight for survivors, to give them economic empowerment, and ignore my phone, everybody. Give them economic empowerment so that they can leave that life. Nobody understands the psychological effects of a victim of sex trafficking or a survivor when they get out of it. They have to have money. Many of them, I've heard different studies, it takes 7 or 8 times to really get somebody out of that life if you're lucky enough to get out alive. That's tough. What do you do? Where do you put somebody? How do they live? How do they get a job? Especially during the last almost 2 years now, when everything's in flux. My job at Lynn's Warriors is to support the survivor voice, to give them monies, economic empowerment, groceries, gas for a car if they have a car. Most of them I know do not. Only 1 or 2 people. Things like the medication. That's where your support, your donations go to. I am completely offended. Having worked on Broadway in the producer capacity, there is this musical that began tonight, October 9th. This is when I'm recording this. Pretty Woman. Now, Pretty Woman opened on Broadway in 2018, but you know what? I didn't know as much as I know now 3 years ago. I am protesting this musical, Pretty Woman. Prostitution is not a musical. A lot has changed. That big hit, Pretty Woman, produced and distributed by Disney, 1990, starring Julia Roberts, America's sweetheart at the time, and Richard Gere. I went to see it in the movie theater. Everybody went to see it. I didn't really think much of it. 2018, when it opened on Broadway, I remember thinking, I don't really like it, but it didn't bother me. Now I know so much more. I did so much reading and studying during COVID, especially here in New York City, wasn't a lot to do. I don't like to say locked down, but things were closed or nobody was out on the streets. I did tremendous amount of studying every single day, reading. Like I went to the University of Human Trafficking and Sexual Exploitation. Every study I could get my hands on. A lot has changed since 1990. We know a lot more. Again, prostitution is not a musical. When this popped up on my laptop today, playbill.com, I couldn't believe what I was reading. Pretty Woman begins its North American tour tonight in Rhode Island. described in their words as sex worker meets wealthy businessman, a Cinderella story. First of all, there's no such thing as sex work. Again, the entertainment industry normalizing this pro-sex lingo, this pro-sex trade talk that seems to be all around us, whether it's literary, whether it is in television shows, movies, now it's Broadway. I am warning all of you. They're going all over America with this tour. Probably their plan is to come back to Broadway. Well, I'll be out in front protesting. Prostituted people are vulnerable people. They are oppressed people. We have to, as a society, lift them up, help them. It's our duty. This is perpetuating this cycle. It's abuse, human rights abuse. It's also the normalization. Do you want your son or daughter growing up and saying, Mommy, Daddy, I want to be a sex worker? It's coming. I talk about it all the time. I'm not exaggerating. I see it. I see it in the last year just speeding up, being well funded. And again, despite all the talk around me and disruption, there are a lot of good people working on these issues. It starts with you and your children. You have to be a warrior. So Pretty Woman, I'm going to be working harder on that. I'm going to be reaching out to some of the producers I know on that musical and talking to them. I am going to, all this woke society, that again, that's a word I don't like. Yet they put this out there. Again, a lot has changed since 1990. We know a lot more since 1990. Remember, October is National Awareness Month for Domestic Violence. And society only began openly talking about domestic violence 30 or so years ago. My hope is human trafficking, sexual exploitation, sex trafficking, the same will happen, that we will openly discuss it and have more take actions and all be aware. It doesn't matter who you are, the color of your skin, where you live, poor, rich, middle class, city, town, rural area. I guarantee you, it's in every part of our society in all different forms. Pretty Woman is not a musical. There is no such thing as a pretty woman or man. This is an oppressed lifestyle. Remember, somebody is giving you money. They have the upper hand, the power over you. This is a form of human trafficking if you break it down, using force, fraud, or coercion. I call it human trafficking, sexual exploitation, prostitution. We have to stop this. We have to wake up. We have to stop the Hollywood hustle, as I call it. We have to protest more about these shows that they're putting out there. Sometimes there's momentary buzz, but we need all of you. We need numbers. We need warriors. There's a wonderful organization out in Hollywood. My good friend Tim Winter, the president of the Parents Television and Media Council. He is stepping up. He is looking into Big Mouth. He is looking into Squid Game. We have to come together. We have to take actions. We have to have petitions. We have to, if nothing else, be vocal, vocal, vocal. Because everybody's getting away with everything. Because the bottom line is our children are the product. Our children make them the money. So join me. Always follow linswarriors.org for all of this information and how you can support and you can help me with these survivors making a difference. Because you know what, warriors? These are our precious children. I don't want anybody's child growing up and saying, I want to be a sex worker. I know what that life is about by the people I work with. It's horrible. And you all know it's horrible. And the bottom line is money. We need to stop this. So step in, join me, and always be a warrior.